Welcome to the Hollywood Scholar. I'm Jed Morgan, and we're just around a month away from the release of the three-part 60th anniversary specials of Doctor Who. And as I've said on many videos, I'm not looking forward to these anniversary specials or the series coming thereafter with Shudigatwa as the Doctor. I just don't believe that Russell T Davies or even David Tennant are the same men that they were when they brought the show to its global phenomenon status back in 2006 through 2009. I really don't believe they're the same men. I don't think it's going to be as well written. But despite all that, the hype for this 60th anniversary is higher than we've seen from Doctor Who in many years now. Obviously, it's not even remotely close to the hype we saw for the 50th anniversary, featuring Matt Smith, David Tennant, and John Hurt as the War Doctor. But it is still far higher than we've seen ever since the Jodie Whittaker and Chris Chibnall era ended in disaster and destroyed a lot of the canon of the franchise and drove away many audience members. But the hype now is far greater than it's been in a long time. The reason I say that David Tennant is not the same man that he used to be, despite me loving him, he's a great actor. I will go out and watch stuff just because he's in it. He's definitely the more politically minded of the recent Doctors, which is why I believe he supported the Jodie Whittaker era to such a strong degree, on top of the fact that he's apparently close friends with Jodie Whittaker in his personal life. Because as we saw ever since one of his children came out as non-binary, he's been pushing the trans agenda quite obnoxiously to a point way beyond what is justifiable with a non-binary kid. It started out with him just wearing pins in an interview that were rainbow colored. It all escalated at a press event for Good Omens season 2, which I still haven't checked out. I thought the first season was fine, but I've never gotten around to watching the second season yet. But at one of these press events for Good Omens season 2, he wore this t-shirt which said, "Leave trans kids alone, you absolute freaks." He wore that. We'll show you the picture of it in just a moment, but that's what he wore to a press event for a television show. That is incredibly inappropriate, whether or not you believe or agree with his political stance here. That is very inappropriate to do at a press event that has nothing to do with such a statement. I don't think any celebrity or anyone should go to a business event like this, a publicity marketing oriented event with political propaganda on their persons or be a focus of what they discuss, whether or not I agree with those politics. I think those things should be kept implicitly separate because we need entertainment to be separate in a lot of instances. Not every, obviously, allegory is a great way to make audience members think, but this isn't making audience members think. This isn't making people want to check out Good Omens. It is just beating them with a baseball bat and saying, agree with me or you're an absolute freak. So it all started with this event. David Tennant stands up for trans kids and mocks troll a new photo. That's what we're looking at here. We are looking at David Tennant walking around in this outfit. Yes, he's wearing a suit that's partially covering it up. And of course, he has a rainbow pin as well. And that's what David Tennant is these days, is a man who will go out there and wear political propaganda to buzz up internet hype. He seems perfect for Disney. As much as I hate to say, as much as I love what this man has done in his career, it makes so much sense why he's now working at Disney with the Ahsoka television show. He seems to fit in line with their agenda perfectly. And this isn't the first time he's done something like this, like I mentioned with the pins. He's also worn a "You Are Safe" trans pin saying, "I'm an ally. Trans people are safe with me," making it seem like other straight people are dangerous for trans people to be around. It's a very odd perspective that really opens up where his mind is at least when it comes to this trans movement. Now, the reason that I'm finally talking about this, despite it being a month or two after this original news came out, the Good Omens press event came out, is because of a side piece of drama that was birthed out of him wearing this t-shirt. Now, I'm not familiar with the person involved in this drama, but apparently this individual here, Graham Linehan, which is apparently a writer for BBC, who's written a lot of British productions, tagged David Tennant and said, "Disgusting, ignorant, reckless." Now, that's a perspective I don't necessarily disagree with. I just think it's very inappropriate for him to be wearing this, regardless of my political stance or what I think about the trans movement as a whole. And people lost their minds. Like this person here, David Tennant supports transgender rights and it's getting transphobes so mad. I already loved the guy. I didn't think it was possible to love him more than I already did. People were flocking to Twitter praising David Tennant for this stance that he made and attacking this Graham fellow for his perspective. And it's okay to have different opinions. I know it doesn't make you transphobic to have an opinion that disagrees with trans people. We're allowed to have different opinions, different perspectives. It's the way it's always been and the way it should always be. Things only escalated when this news came out from Graham just a few days ago, saying that he has been dropped by his agent because of these comments, because he had an opinion that doesn't fit the mainstream narrative, because he doesn't agree with David Tennant, who, as he puts it, makes more money than him, so is more important than him. I think it's more important about the trans analogy and the trans movement than necessarily David Tennant being more popular than him, but he's been removed from his TV agent because he has an unapproved opinion. He had a lot of great comments here. He said, I guess the other interesting thing that happened to me is I just lost my TV agent because I criticized David Tennant. He focuses a lot on it because it's David Tennant. I don't agree with that at all. I only found this out later because I looked at the list of people, independent talent represented, and David Tennant was at the top. So he wasn't even told that he was fired necessarily. And this is something we've seen from woke companies a lot in recent years. Like with Gina Carano getting fired from Disney, she wasn't necessarily told that she was being fired. She found out on social media. That's not the first time this has happened. These companies are so scared of confrontation that they allow their social media posts to fire people. That is insane and entirely unprofessional. Professionalism in Hollywood is a lost art entirely. He goes on to say, and he's making slightly more money than me at this moment, so I had to go. 100% disagree with that. I don't believe that that is the reason. And he goes on to say, telling children they have the wrong bodies is child abuse. And that's probably more the tweet that got him in trouble than necessarily calling David Tennant disgusting and irresponsible, though that absolutely got a lot of hate on him and a lot of scrutiny for his other tweets like this one there. It's okay to have different opinions. It's okay to think something like this, that it's not reasonable to tell children that they are in the wrong bodies. That is 100% a reasonable perspective. But there's no dissension allowed in these woke companies. You have to toe the line 100%. You fit the mold, you be our political propaganda arm, or you're not welcome here. And that is a terrible thing. That is why cancel culture is so destructive, in my opinion, because the free expression of ideas is an important thing. There's no hate in that. That is not calling for violence, as David Tennant's pin saying that trans people are safe with him seems to imply. David Tennant's not the man he used to be. I don't know if he called for this firing to happen. I don't know if he even knows about this happening necessarily, but it is an interesting phenomenon to see that this writer has lost his agent and likely countless jobs because he has an opinion that doesn't fit with the mainstream narrative and the narrative of these companies when it comes to the trans movement. And of course, I just have to briefly mention that the Mary Sue, when this news initially came out, when that first tweet from Graham came out, they said, can David Tennant please sue Graham Limnaugh for all he's worth? They wanted him to sue this man. They wanted David Tennant to sue this Graham fellow for having an opinion that they didn't agree with. Oh my God, he criticized you? He didn't agree with your political propaganda at a press event that had nothing to do with politics? You got to take every dollar he has. You've got to ruin him. That is the type of people that we're dealing with here. These are the type of people that were flocking to Twitter to defend David Tennant, saying that he's their new god and that Graham is their new devil. That's the type of insane lunatics that we're dealing with here. And it's shocking to me that people of any sort of logical comprehension level are listening to these people. Why the Mary Sue is even a website that functions financially. It's a disgrace. And yes, they should 100% be allowed to express this opinion, just like Graham should be allowed to express his opinion. But that doesn't mean I can't mock anyone involved for this. I can have my opinion as well, even if it contradicts. And that's all I'm trying to say here, is we're all allowed to have our opinions and express our opinions, even if they disagree. But that doesn't mean anyone should have repercussions, especially firings because of differing opinions. This is disgraceful. And I really hope that David Tennant expresses his disgust at the situation and says, hey, he disagrees with me. That's fine. He shouldn't lose his job. But that's not the perspective David Tennant has. He's calling anyone who disagrees with him absolute freaks. So of course he's not going to stand up for Graham. Of course he's not going to stand up for anyone who doesn't toe the political line that his wife is most likely shoveling down his throat. But we'll see how this story develops in the future. I just wanted to put it out there and say this is a very sad situation. I hope that Graham will be all right financially in the future. Obviously, I don't know anything about his work. I don't know anything about his personal life. All I know about him is this news here, these tweets. And I gotta say, he doesn't deserve anything that happens from my brief knowledge of the man. And I really hope this all works out well for him. But as we've seen, it rarely does when it comes to the cancel culture mob surrounding the trans movement. But anyway, that's all I have for today. I'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments below. Please like and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video. Anon.
Hey, yo, are you feeling what I'm doing up in here? Oh, I know you are. Do you miss all the good, compelling stories that we used to get back in Hollywood that they ain't putting down no more? Yo, Oh, I know you missing it. So check out my book series, Odyssey of a Phoenix, a mythological epic about philosophy, morality, and modern day mental illness issues, baby. Book 1, Down in Flames. Book 2, Apocalypse Then. These are currently on sale. What are you waiting for? Get your hands on them. And we got book 3, Kill the Dark, is coming down the pipeline. Just wait for all the good stuff this dropping. You ain't gonna be disappointed, fam.